Assalamu alaikum and welcome back once again to Today in African History with Baba Shaka. I'm Baba Shaka and today is March 27, 2021. And we are in the final days of Women's History Month, where we honor and acknowledge the achievements and contributions of the women in our history. Today in African history, we want to go back to the era of the American Civil War and, inshallah, take a look at a woman who made an impact both as a teacher and as a nurse. Born into slavery in Georgia on August 6, 1848, Susie King Taylor, who was born Susan Baker, lived on the plantation for the first 7 years of her life. In 1855, Susie was allowed to go live with her free grandmother in Savannah. Now, despite Georgia's harsh laws prohibiting formal education for Africans, Susie attended two secret schools taught by black women and was tutored by two white youth. In April of 1862, Susie was able to escape slavery with her uncle and other Africans who fled to a federal gunboat near Confederate-held Fort Pulaski. She went to live on Union-occupied St. Simon's Island off the southern Georgian coast, along with hundreds of other formerly enslaved refugees. There, at only 14 years old, Susie became the first black teacher to openly educate Africans in Georgia. That same year, Susie married Edward King, a black soldier in the 33rd United States Colored Infantry Regiment, and began serving as a nurse and laundress for his regiment. Off hours, she taught the soldiers reading and writing, and according to her memoirs, quote, learned to handle a musket very well and could shoot straight and often hit the target, unquote. Don't want to mess with her. Susie served as a nurse at a hospital for African soldiers in Beaumont, South Carolina, where she met and worked with Clara Barton. Now, for 4 years and 3 months, she served the Union military without pay. Susie and Edward remained with the 33rd Regiment until they were mustered out at the end of the war. In 1866, Susie and Edward moved to Savannah, where Susie opened a school for African children. Unfortunately, Edward died a few months before their first child was born, and Susie scraped by as an educator for several years, repeatedly losing students and much-needed income to newly opened public schools. Eventually, Susie was forced to take a job as a domestic servant with a wealthy family to make ends meet. And in the early 1870s, she moved with this family to Boston, where she would live out the rest of her days. There, she would meet and marry Russell Taylor and serve with the Women's Relief Corps, even becoming a president of her corps in 1893. She would also write a book about her experiences entitled Reminiscence of My Life in Camp with the 33rd United States Colored Troop, late 1st SC Volunteers. And that's a long title, but worth the read. Right? When Susie published these memoirs in 1902, she became the first and only African woman in America to publish an account of her experiences in the Civil War. Now, while Reminiscence acknowledged the racism that persisted decades after the end of the Civil War, it ended on a positive note. Quote, what a wonderful revolution. In 1861, the Southern papers were full of advertisements for slaves, but now, despite all the hindrances and race problems, my people are striving to attain the full standard of all other races born free in the sight of God, and in a number of instances have succeeded. Justice, we ask, to be citizens of these United States, where so many of our people have shed their blood with their white comrades, that the stars and stripes should never be polluted, unquote. Miss Susie King Taylor became an ancestor on October 6, 1912. A big shout out to all of the nurses and teachers all over the world. It's kind of scary to imagine what life would be like without you. To all of our subscribers and supporters, we continue to be in your debt. To those of you who have not yet subscribed, we encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below. It's right there, down below. Your support is greatly needed for us to be able to keep bringing you these daily lessons. And I thank you in advance. So, Until tomorrow, inshallah, this is Baba Shaka with Today in African History. Masalam.